Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE SmackDown Live episode 1022 and 205 Live episode 121. We opened up SmackDown with The Miz addressing Shane McMahon being the worst, and that Miz worked so hard for everything that he started from the bottom and worked his way up, whereas Shane McMahon was just handed everything, being the son of Vince McMahon. So the Miz says he's gonna give Shane the ass kicking he deserves at WrestleMania, and I loved this promo because it's he's saying like 95% exactly the same stuff as when he's a bad guy. Because it's the every time he talks about it, it's the truth. It's just the way it's not even that different the way he's delivering it. It's just who the target is, who he's saying it towards, that and other subtle differences. That's it's so good, so good. And by the way, I'm pretty excited for Miz and Mrs. I haven't watched all the episodes of the first season. I realize now. I've kind of been saving it. Like, they're so good. Like the episode where Monroe Sky Mizanin is born is like one of the best reality TV episodes that I've seen. Granted, I don't watch a whole lot of this type of reality shows. I mostly just watch competition shows like Survivor and Amazing Race. But still, that was a really good episode. It was really well done. But anyway, up next we had Sasha and Bayley come to challenge the Iconics in a non-title match, and Lacey Evans enters, does her whole walk down to the ring and back out thing, but it wasn't enough to get an advantage. I thought that was going to be the distraction that got the Iconics the win, but they didn't fully take advantage of that. But they did fully take advantage of each other's cheating capabilities and got the win over Sasha and Bayley. So I like that this is setting things up more and more. Like, everybody's going after Sasha and Bayley now. Of course, we have Natalya and Beth Phoenix, who challenged them last night on Raw. And then we also have Tamina and Nia Jax, who, you know, they're just them. They just want to be rude to everybody. And then now we have the Iconics. They have a right now that to, even though that they won by cheating, they have just as much of a right to challenge for those championships now that they have a victory over the champions. So if this is a 4-way tag match, it's got to be, I don't know how they would do it to make it different, because like to have all the big pay-per-view, well, it was just one team versus one team at Fastlane. So I guess it doesn't mess things up too much to have it only defended in non-traditional tag team matches. But, yeah, if it's a 4-way, that's great. I had already been talking about in the last episode, the Sky Pirates have a huge match. They're both in the women's championship match over on NXT TakeOver. So it's not looking that likely for them to be in there. But if they're in the mix at SummerSlam, I think that would be excellent. Although one of them could be NXT champion at that point. So it might not make sense yet for them to go after that. Survivor Series, perhaps. Anyway, up next we had Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic talk about challenging Samoa Joe at WrestleMania for the United States Championship. I was trying to think for a second which is it, the Intercontinental Championship? Because I just watched Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, like the flashback or WWE replay or whatever it is, where they watched their WrestleMania 10 ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. That was why it was at the top of my frontal lobe, at the front of my frontal lobe brain. Anyway, yeah, the United States Championship. Ray's going after it, but I really hope that Andrade is also in the mix for that match. And R-Truth could be in it or not, whatever. If it's just the triple threat, they'll be fantastic. I mean, Ray versus Joe will be good also, but Andrade, he's got to have a WrestleMania match with how crazy good all of his matches have been lately, along with these other two. Then we have the KO show with Becky and Charlotte. Kevin Owens takes the reins the entire time. He's reading past retorts between the two and from Ronda. And he says, well, you know what I say? Fight Owens, fight. So fight Becky, fight Charlotte, fight. And they do. And but not before Kevin says, hold on. Before you reply, he gets out of the ring. So that was a pretty fun segment there. Them just beating the crap out of each other. Then we had AJ backstage. He said that he's not coming. He's not going to WrestleMania to build anything. He's going there to tear the house down. That's going to be a good match. AJ versus Randy Orton. I'm looking forward to it. Daniel Bryan comes out. Says, Kofi, why is he complaining? He was handpicked as the replacement for Mustafa Ali in that Gauntlet match before Elimination Chamber, and handpicked to be the replacement in the Elimination Chamber match. What is he complaining about being overlooked and all of that? And so enter the Gauntlet. 5 opponents that Kofi Kingston has to defeat to get a WrestleMania match. Kofi versus Sheamus wins via Trouble in Paradise. Kofi versus Cesaro wins via SOS. Kofi versus Rowan wins via disqualification when Rowan beats the crap out of him with a chair, puts him through the commentary table. Very painful, but Kofi still technically wins. He continues in the Gauntlet. Kofi versus Joe, muscle buster tease, but Kofi gets out of it. He rolls Joe up into a pin, and he proceeds to his final opponent in the Gauntlet. Kofi versus Randy Orton. He wins that as well, despite Joe having gone after. He is enraged after Kofi defeated him, and he beats him up even more after his match. But Vince comes out, says, all right, congratulations, very impressive. So you're going to WrestleMania as long as you can also defeat one more person. Good luck. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is the final opponent. This is like a friggin' video game where you think you beat the final boss, and it's like, nope, there's one more. And Daniel Bryan comes out, and Kofi puts up an excellent fight, as much as he could after having defeated 5 other people. But Daniel Bryan wins, and everybody is very, very angry with Vince McMahon and Daniel Bryan, those jerks. It's further proof that The Miz was right. He's always been right. At the top of the show, he said Shane McMahon isn't the best of the worst. He's because the McMahons are the worst. So, we still have 2 more episodes before WrestleMania. There's still time for it to happen. It must happen. Kofi, everybody throughout this episode, I really like that everybody's like, good luck to Kofi tonight. He deserves it and all that kind of stuff. We had AJ say that. We had Kevin Owens say that. Said he even really gave up the KO Mania and said, I've been calling it KO Mania the last 3 years, but now it's all about Kofi. It still is KO Mania. There's just an extra FI in there. But I think Rey Mysterio said something also. Oh, and then throughout this entire match, this match was like 55 minutes long, or the Gauntlet. I guess it was technically 6 different matches, 55 minutes long, and then another 5 minutes for the last part with Daniel Bryan. So a solid hour of competition for Kofi Kingston. Unfortunately, we didn't get any screen time for Asuka or Fire and Desire, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. But I'm sure we'll get some more of them next week. But yeah, this must happen. And there's a pretty good job of making everybody mad at the end of this episode. So yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens next. Over on 205 Live, we had Mike Kanellis get his promised match against one of the top cruiserweights. And if basically the stipulation was if he couldn't win this match, then he'd be done or closer to being done. His opponent was Akira Tozawa, but via distraction from his wife, Maria, Mike Kanellis got the jump on Tozawa and won this match. So his job is safe for now, unless Drake Maverick looks down upon looking bad in victory. Because he said looking good in defeat isn't enough. You have to get some wins every now and then. But if that win is, if you look bad during the win, then maybe that's not much better than looking good in defeat. Next week, we're going to have a Lucha House Party versus Drew Gulak, Jack Gallagher, and Humberto Carrillo. That should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. And then we have our main event of 205 Live. Now, I felt bad for this whole entire episode of 205 Live for having to follow that Gauntlet craziness. But they put on a great show. Yesterday, I mistakenly said it was Tony Nese versus Drew Gulak. I don't know why I got that mixed up. It's Cedric Alexander versus Tony Nese. And I was rooting for Tony. I gotta be honest. I was rooting for him through the whole thing because we haven't seen Tony versus Buddy yet, and they're friends. They're partners. They're I was gonna say something else, but that whole aspect of it is cool. Even though we saw friend versus friend last year, they were good guy friends. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. So you're rooting for both of them. This time around, we're kind of rooting for both of them to lose in a way, kind of, because they're both bad guys. Although with Buddy, okay, so Tony Nese, I'm getting ahead of myself. Tony Nese wins after hitting the, he kicks out of the lumbar check, which is, he's only the second person to have done that in all of 205 Live's history, which is nuts. There's been people who've like ended up outside of the ring, and so that didn't finish the match. That's maybe happened like once or twice. But as far as actually getting pinned and then kicking out of it after that lumbar check, it's only been Buddy Murphy and now Tony Nese. And at that point, I was like, oh man, if he doesn't win, then this is just nuts. That he should win after being able to kick out of that. But he hits the running Nese to finish off the match and gets the win. There's one moment that I really like. This whole match was great, but I really liked when they both went for kicks and their like legs got tangled up into each other. I thought that was really cool. But after the victory, Buddy Murphy comes out. They shake hands, Tony and Cedric. So that was nice. Good sportsmanship from both of them. Buddy Murphy comes out. He congratulates Tony, raises his arm and all of that. As soon as Tony turns his back, he just casually tosses the championship aside and prepares to hit to hit Tony right in the face with his knee. And I love the way that he tossed he like just spread his arms and tossed it aside. I thought that was like a badass movie type of moment. And that's maybe my favorite moment of this episode. Um, I don't know. There's something about it, just the casualness of it, I really liked. So it's kind of a betrayal of friends going on here, and maybe not so much. I guess it could be. I guess it might be a face turn for Tony Nese because of the good sportsmanship showed between him and Cedric at the end there, before all this happened. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next 2 weeks, the promos that they cut on each other, if Tony is going to be the face in this situation. I guess it kind of has to be at this point. It's set up to be that way, even though if he's not a face in the grand scheme of things. But I am really excited to see this match. I think it has the potential to be one of my favorite matches of the night. Like, there's all kinds of exciting stuff that's going to happen. Of course, Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. That's going to be great. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. That should be really good. We don't know who Asuka is fighting yet. We don't know what any of the tag team championship matches are yet. Any of the three of them. The women's, the Raw, and the SmackDowns. We don't know those matches. We tentatively, United States Championship, Joe versus Ray. Intercontinental Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Demon Balor, perhaps. Then we don't know what Braun exactly is doing. He's just going to be that's going to be resolved next week, I assume. Other championships, we don't know who the WWE Championship challenger will be yet. It's got to be Kofi, though. It's got to be Kofi. What other championships are there? So really, this Cruiserweight Championship is one of only 4 championship matches solidly confirmed, or arguably only one of 3. Because everything else is just like feud stuff, just people hating each other. AJ Styles versus Randy, Shane McMahon versus The Miz, Batista versus Triple H, somebody else, Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. I hope that's not the actual match. That's a weird retirement match. I don't know. Baron Corbin is good. He's good at what he does. He is really good at what he does, and he seems like an actual, really, really good person. Outside of playing his character, that to me adds even more to how good he is at doing what he does on screen. But I have that match, and Braun, he's going to be in the Battle Royal. That's right. He announced that he would do that. So yeah. A lot of championship matches still not set in stone yet. And it seems like a lot of people are getting wrapped up in being upset about these matches that we've known about for a long time, getting messed with and all of that, and just completely forgetting about all of the other championships that aren't even set in stone yet. And you could look at it and saying, oh, we have this other story left to unfold on these other things. I guess that could be an argument against spending so much time on the Raw Women's Championship and the WWE Championship stuff. But those are kind of opposite situations too, because we don't know who the actual challenger for the WWE Championship will be. Whereas we're getting more into the Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins stuff. Drew McIntyre in the mix there now, possibly. If I actually wouldn't really mind if that ended up being a triple threat. Just making all the championships triple threat matches, though, I'm not sure if that's the best thing for WrestleMania, but you gotta have it can't be more than half of them. So it's gotta be singles for the Universal and the WWE Championship, I think. And also because it seems like it could be possible it's a triple threat for the SmackDown Women's Championship. With the whole, we didn't get further development on it. Sonya and Mandy, they're falling out with each other, but I would be way into that being a match that we think that there's conflict between the two, but that they end up actually working together more than not. But then when it comes down to the wire, they don't let each other win, and Asuka's able to get the jump on them and still hold on to the championship. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how all that develops. And yeah, because it's looking like it's going to be a multi-team match for the women's championship, possibly a multi-team match for one of the tag team championships. We know the besties in the worlds are not in the mix for that anymore, obviously. But who will the Usos challenge? Perhaps they will challenge. We could have the Aleister Black and Ricochet go for the SmackDown championships. That could be pretty cool. But also the Hardys are back. They're in the mix for that. They didn't appear on this episode, but that's okay. It was all the Gauntlet match. And I'm just talking in circles a little bit too much now. So I'll end this episode there. Let me know what you thought about SmackDown and 205 Live this week by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. And I need a drink of water. Good thing I'm at the end here, so close. And I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.